I'd like to call the October 14th, 2025 Supervisors meeting to order. Start off with a silent meditation and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Like allegiance to the flag of the States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I just wanted to say that we as a board and you as residents are asked to treat each other with respect and common decency. We're asking that there be no personal attacks from either side, for residents or from the board. We ask that all that are speaking limit their comments to 3 minutes during the public comment period. Please stay on topic, present your comments in a spirit of cooperation and collaboration, and above all else, be respectful of each other and of the institution of township government in your words, tone, and gestures. All right, approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the September 23rd, 2025 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
There is one correction on page 5 of the minutes under the summary by applicable board liaison. Supervisor Wright is listed under Park and Recreation, and that should be Supervisor McAvoy. The vote.
Sure. No. I'm not sure who writes the minutes, but it seems some of it was hyperbolized quite a bit from what actually happened during the meeting. So I just wanted to bring that up and see if we could address it. So in the meeting minutes, or sorry, in reality, Wilson said, in light of the fact that we're going to have to increase the township budget by thousands because of this right to know request, the minutes actually say Supervisor Lambert went on record to say he is opposed to Shane joining the municipal building committee due to excessive right to know requests and the fact that the township budget will need to be increased significantly to these requests. I don't think those are the same thing.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments about the minutes? I call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, the treasurer's report. I make a motion to approve the payment authorizations for the period of September 24th, 2025 through October 14th, 2025 in the total amount of $262,478.55.
Second.
Are there any questions from the board?
262.
Any questions from the residents? All for the vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I have the manager's report.
All right, hi, everyone. First on the list is the authorizing the advertisement of the bids for Sawmill Culvert Replacement Project. Just want to provide a little explanation here. TPD has prepared bid specifications for the project to bid this out. Again, it's a Sawmill Road Culvert project. The project would replace an old metal culvert. It's rusted out, it's failing. The new culvert would be made of concrete. We've been talking about this now for a couple of years, but the township has completed all of its required environmental assessments. There was a lot of pre-work that was required because the culvert does go through a creek. So we have all that work that's done. We've obtained the easements from the affected property owners, and the project is ready to move forward. with putting this out to bid. The construction is proposed for the spring, the early spring. The construction is projected to cost about $200,000. There is an added paving and milling portion of this that could add about $150,000 to the project. We'll know the pricing, obviously, when the bid comes in. And just a side note here, the township was awarded a $250,000 grant that should cover a large portion of the project. There is a proposed motion in the packet authorizing the advertisement to request bids for the project.
I move the township authorize advertisement to request bids for the Sawmill Road culvert replacement project.
Second.
Are there any questions from the board?
Couple, are they gonna mean, that pipe is on Sawmill, which is the one road that goes into that development. Will they maintain traffic during construction, Scott?
The plan is not to close it completely.
I know they gotta be, it's a 2 lanes, but I figured they'd allow certain.
Right, the plan is to allow traffic to get through.
I know I didn't look, are there alternates in the bid, or is this one pretty straightforward?
Pretty straightforward, just the culvert and additional road paving from Mortonville to Martingale Circle. We
Thank you.
decided to do that.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions or comments from the residents? Yes, Deb.
I have a question about the grant, just out of curiosity, for clarification.
Debbie, I'm sorry, can you approach?
Sorry.
Are you sure?
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We're all learning.
Deborah, stop. Question on the grant, it's just for clarification for my own head. Assuming best case scenario, $200,000 cost, $250,000 grant, assuming we don't do the $150,000 overage, if we have the extra 50, is it specific, or is the grant specific to this project, or it could be used for any additional things as well? If we see that we have additional money.
Specific to this project.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question.
Actually, that remind me of another question. Can we use liquid fuels money we may have in the bank for anything not covered, Scott? Or is this a general fund type of thing?
It would complicate the project.
Okay.
It would probably add some cost to it.
So we
to
don't,
the paperwork.
this is not liquid fuels type situation.
If we decide we don't like the pricing for paving, we could potentially pave Sawmill Road with liquid fuels, but that would be next year,
That I decide. Okay.
separate project.
I don't want to come.
Any other questions or comments? All for the vote?
I,
Aye. All right, I'd like to introduce traffic engineer Mike Schneider from.
Podium.
Yeah, sure.
Yep, thank you. To provide an update on the traffic calming project in Newlandville.
Good evening to the board, to the residents. I'm Mike Schneider with Benoni, and we've been working on the Newlandville traffic calming project, and as a brief
Mike, just talk a
history.
little bit louder.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a brief history, this project was born out of the Newlandville Village Master Plan that was done, Scott, was like 4 to 5 years ago, I think. And that plan included a number of recommendations. Probably the biggest one is to provide pedestrian accommodation in the village area as part of the revitalization. And as an early step to that pedestrian accommodation, it recommended some traffic calming. So we've developed off that plan some gateway medians, as they're called, and some signage and striping improvements on the approaches to the village area that were reviewed and approved by PennDOT. It's been bid. It's ready to go to construction. We were hoping to get the construction done this year, but right now we're running up against the paving window because the weather's getting a little bit colder. And during our pre-construction interview or meeting with PennDOT in the field, PennDOT noted a couple of drainage issues that are not East Fallowfield issues, they're PennDOT issues. So PennDOT maintenance might want to get in there and fix 1 or 2 of the inlets before we come in with the median. So we're working with them on schedule, and there is a chance that our construction gets pushed to the spring. So we're gonna figure that out in the next week or so and hopefully get started here in October and get the project finished this year. But there is a chance that the work for East Fallowfield gets pushed to the spring because of PennDOT's drainage work.
I mean, we awarded the contract, right? So that doesn't affect that at all, Mike?
We confirmed with the contractor, they're perfectly good to do it this spring or to do it now, so that doesn't impact it.
They're gonna hold their prices and they're.
They're gonna hold their prices.
Timeline.
Scott and I looked at the grants that we have in place for the project. They go to June 30th, 2026. So we have time with the grant money as well. So it doesn't impact the project for us to push to the spring. It might be preferred at this point to get some other improvements in there and not rush through the paving season. So we want to make sure we get it done before the weather gets too cold. We don't want a half-done project and then hit cold weather and have to wait to do the final paving at the end.
Yep.
So hopefully this year, but we're meeting with PennDOT now to work that in.
And Mike, one thing I just wanted to bring up, I know the answer to this, but we know that pedestrian safety is a big concern down there. It's a high priority in the plan.
Yeah.
And we had talked about sort of how this project, we initially asked for money for pedestrian safety. That was a huge undertaking to get the full grant award. So if you could just explain kind of how this project would sort of be the segue to the next.
So coming out of that planning study, the gateway medians that we're proposing, they're sort of a visual cue that you're entering a different type of area. So I would say if you think of coming north on 82 Doe Run Road, it's pretty open, it's winding, it's got some hills, and then you come into a more densely populated area at Newlandville. So what a median does is it gives you an idea that you're entering a different type of roadway, a different type of area. That's why it's called a gateway median. You're coming into something new. So it's really that visual cue that lets people know there could be pedestrians present. It's not the same open area. They're used quite a bit in these types of situations where you're going from a very sparse area to a more dense area. So that's sort of the key to the medians coming in. Then we're also doing pavement markings and edge line rumble strips through the curve right by Newlandville Road where it comes in, so that drivers kind of stay in their lane, which keeps those speeds down a little bit. If they can use the whole shoulder, they can go a little bit faster, but there are center line rumble strips in that area, but not edge line rumble strips. So they're going to be added as part of the project as well. And then approaching the medians, there's going to be what we call transverse rumble strips. They're actually just thick layers of pavement markings that go across the road. You feel as a rumble as your car goes over them. They're not as loud as a dug-in rumble strip to not impact the residents, but it's more of a feel. So you know you're coming into a little bit of a different area, and it's just a cue to slow down.
Are you gonna have pedestrian crosswalks?
Not yet. So the next phase of this would be to look at pedestrian areas. The traffic planning and design previously put together a concept plan or a preliminary design plan that showed sidewalk and crosswalks right at Newlandville with a potential flasher for that crossing, but we're not quite there yet. That would be sort of the next phase of the project, approaching grant funding. But it was decided that this early phase, before we look at pedestrians, was important to sort of come with some traffic calming improvements here.
And Mike, this would help us as well. The fact that we're putting this in first as we seek additional funding. I'm guessing this would probably be
when you're going for grant funding, if the grant agencies see that it's a phased project and there's already been an investment in the area, that really helps secure additional funding. This project is a $150,000 project. Really putting sidewalk in there and curbing, you're getting up in the $1 million range for a project. So for an investment of that kind, a grant agency wants to see that the township's invested in the project and a real money and effort has been put towards it already. And that's kind of the stage that we're in. So it really does help get that future funding to complete the full vision of the master plan that was created back in 2021. I think that was signed. Sounds about right.
And then assessing these drain inlets, that's gonna help with the storm management. That's the next phase, right?
Huge. So the sidewalk project couldn't happen without addressing the stormwater, and there are major stormwater concerns out there and issues. So right where we want to put the median on the southern end of the project, the inlet right outside of the church there is failing. It's failed more and more each year. Even since we've done our survey, it's gotten worse. So we looked at that with PennDOT when we had our pre-construction meeting, and they agreed that should be addressed now. We think that PennDOT should address that since it's a state road and it's their inlet. I think they recognize that. So that's our current coordination is with PennDOT and PennDOT maintenance to see how much we can get them to address. They're not going to be able to address all the stormwater issues out there right now. Some of that's going to have to be worked into a larger project, possibly with the sidewalk, but we're coordinating with them now to see how much we can get them to take care of it.
So what you're talking about, Mike, is whatever existing drainage inlets and pipes are in the right of way right now, and that's gonna fix those. They're not gonna put any new infrastructure in right now. They're gonna fix what's there.
Right now, the sort of immediate action is to fix what's there, but there are longer term major stormwater.
I mean, but right now they're just gonna fix the immediate existing stuff so that our work gets put in a good spot, and then in the future,
They're hopefully gonna fix the.
there'll be additional, in the future, there's more opportunities.
There's more opportunity with larger grant projects in coordination with PennDOT. PennDOT could take it on for one of their programs as they identify it. It's very much on their radar now that we're doing a project there. We met with them out there, pointed out all the deficiencies. They were a little bit surprised at how bad it was. From a stormwater runoff standpoint, they really were.
Yeah.
So I think now that it's on their radar, we can work with them to get more of that addressed.
Great.
Without using township funds, is the goal.
And why would they not, if that's on the road?
If I had an answer to why PennDOT wouldn't do maintenance on their roads, I'd probably answer that a lot, but I'm sure it's budget. It's, they're spread a little bit thin and where they can put their money and where they can get out to address things, but having an active project, if we need them to come in and make these changes, kind of puts us up near the top of the list, so to speak, so.
That's true.
Light a little fire under them, that's nice.
Yeah, and it's, we're putting these medians in, and the point is to really reduce the lane width a little bit. So as you go around them, you're pushed to the outside a little bit, and we don't want, people's tire tracks going near those failed inlets any closer than they do today. So we have to get that short up, otherwise we don't want to create a safety concern as we try and address a safety concern, so.
We're gonna have any other questions?
But just as a, further update, we'll know more in the coming weeks. We'll coordinate very closely with Scott on schedule on what PennDOT's gonna do, and we'll have another update coming soon.
Mike is not staying with us through the whole meeting, so does anybody have any questions, for Mike and what he reported out?
Since the construction's not gonna happen until potentially the spring, are we gonna see the before study, before the after study is done?
Before studying what?
The traffic calming, and there was a study done on speeds through that area.
Yeah, we did a radar study for speeds to try and compare after the medians go in. I mean, the main point of a gateway median is that visual cue to know you're entering a different area, but gateway medians can absolutely give you speed reduction as well. So, we have done the before counts now, or the before radar studies to see what the speed is now. And then once the medians go in, we do radar studies afterwards and see if we had any effect on it. We have other traffic calming provisions that have been considered, like radar speed signs. So they may still be brought into this project. However, if we see with the medians and with the striping and rumble strips, if we get enough of a decrease in speed, maybe we don't need to do that element of it. So it's sort of a comparison to see where we're at and what else we need to do.
So why wouldn't you do speed signs first, since they're temporary versus infrastructure project?
Speed signs are more of a temporary fix, I'd say. So when you put those in, I don't ever recommend permanent installations of those radar signs. I know they have them, PennDOT does permit them. I like more when you have it on a signpost that can be moved around the township a little bit. If people get a little numb, they kind of become background noise when you see them. So I don't think they're fully effective as a long-term solution.
But does it,
I think they're more intermediate, as
do you also become known to a median that you're driving through?
Well, no, the point of the median is that you see it every time, and with the reduction in the lane width, you kind of have to slow down a little bit to go around it. Now, some people are never going to slow down, no matter how wide the median is or how narrow the lanes are, but it's always there. And it's a constant visual cue in the center of the roadway that you really can't miss. The radar speed signs, we found that if you're not getting a ticket, if the speed is higher, I've even had people, I think, are trying to see how high they can get that number to go as they go past in some places. So the center median is really more of the permanent installation that's the identifier that you're coming into a different, more dense type of area than more of a spread out type area on what I call a little further south on 82.
And Mike, there's a beautification factor as well.
Yeah,
With
it's
the
streetscape, it's a sense of place, they call it. I'm not a planner. That's what planners say. It's more of a sense of place rather than just a through area. You could be, a lot of people, that Newlandville Village area is small. It's not a long stretch on 82. You're through it before you know it. So it's kind of identifying that this isn't just a through area. It's a place, it's a spot, and it helps with that visual cue. Again, a little more planner speech than I'm used to as an engineer, but that's typically what they're for.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
That's all. Thank you all.
All right, have a good night. Thank you. Okay, thanks, everyone. We have a couple, I know we have Jim Clark, is he here? Jim, okay, he's from AJ Blozensky. I just wanted to welcome him, bring him up. We have an addendum. Let me just give a little background before we continue. We have an addendum to the October 5th, 2023 contract between East Falmouth and Blozensky. This would increase the bulk collection from once monthly to once per week. The once monthly is actually 2 items. We are proposing once per week, 1 item. So this would actually increase the frequency and double the amount of bulk items that could be collected. There is no cost to this addendum right here. Blozensky cares about East Falmouth Township, and we want to make sure that residents are being served here properly. So it's a win for both of us. You could probably talk about the benefits of Blozensky, but there's certainly a benefit to the township. Just want to give a little. Okay, thanks for coming out too. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Board, for allowing me to come here and speak tonight and present this addendum to you. Scott, thanks for putting us on the agenda. As Scott said, so we're proposing to go from once a month bulk to and provide 2 bulk items once a month, to providing weekly bulk 1 item per collection. So that'll enhance the kind of flow of for convenience for residents and stuff, so they can put items out each week. It helps us from an operational standpoint because it helps us with basically our operation as far as scheduling labor and trucks and just basically the weight of the trucks. We're putting all the bulk items on 1 collection day as opposed to having even out throughout the week, throughout the month. And this is, as Scott said, this is at no cost to the residents or the township.
Well, I know when I saw the idea come through the email, I was like, is that a good idea? And Scott said exactly what you just said, Jim. Now, I know, for me, I don't have to remember which week it is. I put my old couch in.
Yeah, it's very convenient because, like I said, when you put it when everything is put out on 1 month, on 1 day in the month.
It's a lot.
It's a lot for the loader. We got to put extra loaders on the trucks. The trucks get weighed out, so they got to dump and then come back. So from an operational standpoint, it just takes more time to do it this way. It's historically what we do with other townships when we do it during 1 collection during a month. It just evens out our operation, and you can kind of schedule a lot better. It helps us on a labor standpoint and just all around. And the best thing is it's a big benefit to the residents because they know they can put 1 item out instead of ordering them until that one, and then have to remember what week they got to put it out.
Exactly. And we always forget.
Right. So
So will you be keeping track of how well this is working, or will we be doing that? 'Cause
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. We are proposing October 24th as the first day to begin. So it would not start this Friday. And the reason for that, Jim and I had a discussion. We have our bulk trash drop off event this Saturday. So we wanted to see how that shakes out. And then the following Friday would be October 24th would be the first day for this to begin. So if the board approves it, we'll advertise it.
and we anticipate that it will take, a little bit of time for, the residents to get used to it and things like that. So, it's not going to affect the bulk collection on the set. We'll be prepared for whatever put out there. But again, as the weeks and the months go on, we'll probably see a more even flow of the bulk.
it's a good idea.
Are there any other questions? I make a motion to approve an addendum to the October 5th, 2023 contract between East Falmouth Township and AJ Blozensky, increasing the bulk item collection from once monthly to 1 item every week.
Second.
Are there any other questions from the board? Any questions from the residents? Yes.
This could, instead of everybody putting out 2 once a month, now you could have 4 items in a month.
Yes.
And you could have more people putting stuff out more frequently because it's in everybody's mind. Like I know I've missed bulk trash day. I can't tell you how many months, but now that I know I can put something out every week, you could get burned also, right? I mean, it could be more volume even than what you're doing today on a bulk trash day. Because now more of the residents are putting one item out, right? Even though it's less items.
Right, you would think that, but historically and what we've seen with other townships and municipalities, that's not the case. It's, you know, you're still gonna get the same amount of bulk overall, you know, through just say the quarter. It's just that someone can put it out, you know, on a more consistent basis and stuff like that. So we don't really see, you know, the increase in disposal, you know, throughout the quarter. So, you know, you might have a more heavier week, but overall for the quarter throughout, like, you know, historically what we've seen is that's not the case.
And then from the township perspective, Scott, we're assuming we're gonna have the same amount of bulk, so our tipping fees aren't gonna go up.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we don't know until, we start doing it, but we'll, something we'll monitor and see.
But that's historically, that's not really, that's usually disposal, you know.
That's separate from you guys. Yeah,
Right.
right. That's all. Thank you.
All right, call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
And thanks, everyone.
Appreciate
I
that.
want to just stick around if there's any questions for this. We're going to talk about the drop-off event next. I know I've been talking about this for a couple of months now. We keep putting out the word. This Saturday is our township's bulk trash drop-off event at the township building. The event is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We do ask that everyone bring an ID showing you're a township resident. We like people from other municipalities, but this is for township residents only. We don't want to pay for everyone in Chester County for their trash. So this is a free event. There's a small charge for tires. We posted that on the township website. This is an opportunity to get rid of those bulk items. If you're doing a clean out, you want to get rid of your old furniture. We are accepting electronics as well. We still take them at the township building. But if you want to come on Saturday, you can bring those televisions as well. We're not taking household hazardous waste. This is bulk items. We're not taking construction debris. So if you're tearing your old shed down or your house down, this is not the right event for you. You have a lot of junk in your garage or your basement, bring it to this event.
Are you bothered with like hearing aid batteries or batteries that could be recycled?
That might fall more into like household hazardous waste.
Those are usually the things you could drop off at Home Depot or.
You might be able to answer that question, Jim. I think that might be more of household hazardous
You have
waste,
a
like
big,
lead acid.
old battery.
Yeah, the batteries and stuff like that, like, lithium batteries and things like that are hazardous.
Yeah, that's separate.
Yeah, that's, it cause fires and things like that, so.
That's all I have.
Or take recyclables too, though, like boxes that are broken down.
Yes.
We will, yes.
Yeah, we'll have that container back there and then. We'll out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Jim. Next item on the list, these are just informational right here. Just some updates on the municipal building committee. We did receive applications from several interested people. We are going to hold those right now. We appreciate everyone that applied. We are at the moment, and we've talked about this before, we are working through the process of getting the grant agreement in place. So we don't want people, we want to make sure that the committee has meaningful work to do. We are going to hold on to those applications until we're a little bit further along with the grant agreement, which I hope will happen soon. And then once that happens, we will put this on the agenda to appoint more members to the committee. So just wanted to mention that. The other item on the list is addressing rumors about the sale. I know there was some talk in the community about whether the East Falfield Township Elementary School is for sale. I can say it is not for sale. I spoke to the superintendent and he confirmed the building that we're talking about, the school right over here, is not for sale, and there's no intention of selling it. There's no plan for that right now. So that is just informational right now, just addressing some rumors that are out there. Next on the list is the budget overview and workshop. We're going to need a few minutes here to set up. We got to get the PowerPoint up. We're going to put it up there. So probably about 2 minutes here. There, it's not. Right there, Dave? Yes. Huh? That up on there? I don't know how to get rid of, me on the bottom there. I can turn that. Thanks for the reminder.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Just want to make sure everybody can hear you.
Wait, everyone hear me? Is it working? Okay. How's that? Is that good?
First idea ever.
All right, everyone can hear me? See how it goes with the wireless microphone here.
Don't touch it.
All right,
Don't touch it.
can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, whistling a little bit, doesn't matter.
It's
All right, good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank, welcome to our 2026, move this away here. How's that?
It'll be.
All right, it's picking up from here. First, I want to thank Dave Hinman for his hard work he put into the draft budget. I also wanted to thank and acknowledge our department heads, Chief Osborne and Justin Gatherpole, our road foreman, for the input that they provided into the budget process. I also want to thank members of the public for coming out tonight. The township encourages public comment from our residents. However, I ask that if you have a comment, I ask that you wait until the public participation section of the meeting. I have a lot of information here to cover. Copies of the draft budget are available on the township's website. Right now, they're under agendas and minutes on the tab. We will also upload this presentation on the township's website after the meeting. So this should be on the website by tomorrow morning. This slide shows the 2026 budget schedule. So tonight is the budget work session where we'll discuss and review the first draft of the budget. October 14th, October 28th is a first presentation of the budget. This is also an opportunity to make any changes to the budget. November 18th is the second budget presentation, and the board could authorize the advertisement of the budget on that date. Per second-class township code, the township is required to advertise the budget for at least 20 days before the budget is adopted. Once the board authorizes the advertisement, the budget would then be available for public inspection. The budget would be placed on the township website, and hard copies would also be available at the township building. As I stated before, we will have draft copies of the budget available on the township website. And we can have, if a resident wants a copy of draft budget, they can pick that up here as well. Budget adoption is currently scheduled for December 9. If the budget is not approved for whatever reason, there is another meeting scheduled for December 16th. The budget must be adopted by December 31st per second-class township code. This year, we're introducing a new section in our budget presentation. It's called Budget Myths and Misconceptions. These are some of the common misunderstandings we hear from residents, and we want to take the opportunity to clear them up with facts and context. I'm going to read the myth, and to save my voice, because it's a really long presentation, Dave, our township treasurer, graciously agreed to read the reality for each one. So the first myth: township should lower taxes because we have a surplus every year. Now it's your turn, Dave.
Anyway, Dave.
So the reality is the
Talk
township,
really loud too, because you don't have a microphone like I
I
do.
don't have a loud voice, but I'll try. The township's year-end surplus is not excess money. It provides cash flow stability so the township can operate at the start of the year before revenues are collected. Also, a portion of the general fund surplus is transferred to the capital fund to pay for major purchases, infrastructure such as bridges and roads, and equipment like police cars.
Thanks, Dave. The next myth: the township inflates its budget number so it can collect more taxes.
Township budgets are not inflated. They are built To plan responsibly and ensure the township can provide effective services, the township relies on the expertise of its department heads when preparing budget estimates. Budget numbers are based on actual needs, historical data, and projected costs. The township estimates revenues cautiously as revenues can fluctuate. The township budgets expenditures fully as costs can rise unexpectedly.
Smith, the township manager should go through the budget line by line during the presentation.
While line items are important for accuracy and transparency, the purpose of a budget presentation is to provide the big picture, how our revenues, expenses, and capital plans fit together to support township operations and long-term goals. The township posts the draft budget on the township website so that residents can review and provide comment. Township staff are fully involved in preparing and justifying their portions of the budget. The budget presentation focuses on revenue and expenditure trends, how we leverage grants, capital planning, fund transfers, and long-term sustainability. This ensures that the board and residents understand why the numbers matter.
Next, Smith, the township has too much in reserves.
Reserves are not extra money, they are planned savings. These funds ensure that the township can plan for large projects like a future municipal complex, address emergencies such as the Mortonville Bridge collapse, repair decades of neglected roads, culverts, and infrastructure, maintain stable tax rates during downturns, and purchase equipment like police cars so our departments can provide essential services. Keep in mind that outside recommendations on how much funding is needed to keep in reserve is a recommendation on the minimum amount needed. There is no universal formula for every municipality.
Next, Smith, the township should break even and have a zero-sum balance.
Running a government budget with no surplus at year end is not responsible financial management. East Fallowfield, like all well-managed municipalities, maintains a very healthy surplus for several reasons. The general fund surplus is regularly transferred to the capital fund to pay for essentials like public works equipment, for example, a backhoe, and public safety equipment. A strong fund balance also helps the township qualify for grant funding and favorable bond ratings, saving taxpayers money in the long run.
Next, Smith, grant funding is bad because it's still taxpayer money.
While it's true that some grants come from tax dollars, those funds are already collected, and if East Fallowfield doesn't apply, they go to other municipalities instead. Our township aggressively pursues grant funding to support vital community improvements, all while reducing the burden on taxpayers.
Next, Smith, we can just borrow money instead of saving for projects.
Most grant programs require matching secured funds to qualify for their program. Also, if we borrow money, keep in mind that loans must be repaid with interest, meaning taxpayers will pay more for the same project.
Next, Smith, the township raises taxes every year.
Contrary to what some may believe, the township has not raised its general fund real estate tax since 2018. 2026 will be the 8th straight year without an increase in the general fund. In 2024, after 6 years without an increase, there was a small fire EMS tax increase, 0.75 mils, that funded advanced life support and paid firefighters. The fire EMS fund is restricted to fire EMS operations. While not raising taxes, the township has continued to maintain high-quality police, road, and public services. This has been achieved through strong fiscal management, strategic use of grants, and long-term planning.
Smith, my township taxes are $10,000 a year.
The average annual residential township tax bill is only $495 based on average assessed property valuation of 142,418. Many residents confuse their township tax bill with their overall real estate property taxes. East Fallowfield Township only receives 7% of the total real estate tax dollar. A large portion of your total property tax bill goes to the school district and county, not the township.
Let me read this one, Dave. So this pie chart shows you the actual distribution of real estate taxes in East Fallowfield Township. Your real estate tax dollar is made up of three components: the Coatesville Area School District, Chester County, and East Fallowfield Township. All three entities have their own separate taxing authorities. East Fallowfield Township has nothing to do with your school taxes. You can see right here from the pie chart that the school district collects 83% of your tax dollar. Chester County receives 10%. And as I mentioned before, East Fallowfield Township in green right here only receives 7% of the total tax dollar. Myth, right to know requests are free. Staff can just handle them.
Do you read all this, Dave?
I'm gonna read
Or
it.
do you wanna like, round robin it like your church?
Transparency is essential and the township fully supports it. However, some right to know requests require countless staff hours and significant legal review, costs that are paid by taxpayers, not the requester. A single right to know request from one requester seeking thousands of emails recently cost $7,500 in legal and IT consultant fees. The same requester has since submitted 12 additional requests seeking thousands and thousands of email records, which could cost over $100,000 in legal fees in 2025. These costs are paid by the township's taxpayers. Staff cannot perform this work because it involves reviewing confidential personnel and attorney-client privileged communications, all of which must be handled by the township solicitor to ensure compliance with state law. The fiscal impact due to the right to know request, the township has budgeted additional funds in the 2026 general fund to cover anticipated legal and administrative costs associated with compliance. These expenditures will be discussed further in the expenditures section of this presentation. Bottom line, while most residents use right to know law responsibly, excessive or overly broad requests can strain limited resources and divert taxpayer funds away from essential community services and infrastructure projects.
Nice work, Dave. Appreciate your help on that one. Moving along here, we're moving on to 2026 budget highlights. First, I want to emphasize that there is no real estate tax increase proposed in the 2026 general fund or fire EMS. Again, as I said before, this is the 8th year the township has not seen an increase in the general fund. Second bullet point right here, all township budgets are balanced per second-class township code. Third, pointer's not working here. Third point, all I said they're balanced. Next, we are projecting, this is number 3. We are projecting a potential budget deficit next year of $221,381 in the general fund, which means we would be using our township reserves to balance the budget. This is not due to overspending, but primarily the result of increased legal expenses due to the heavy volume of right to know requests that we've received from one requester. If the current volume of requests continue into next year, we could see severe impacts to the township finances and legal expenses reaching $175,000. Keep in mind, this is a projection, not an actual figure. I hope that doesn't happen, but we want to make the board and public aware of the potential fiscal impact, so we plan accordingly. The township is also budgeting for an 18% increase in employee health care costs, which would cost the township an additional $35,000 next year. We're on number 4, the 4th point. I'm going to talk more about this as we move into expenditures. This would be the largest increase. I've been here for almost 8 years now. That would be the largest increase that I've seen in 8 years. We'll talk more about that as we move forward. The 2026 general fund revenue budget total of $4 million. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet points down. The 2026 general fund revenue budget total of $4,489,695 is $412,662 greater than the 2025 general fund revenue budget of $4,077,033. I want to note here that the 2025 general fund budget reflects a $1 million transfer to the capital fund. 2026 general fund budget total includes a $1 million transfer to the municipal building fund And we also designated $222,381 from the general fund balance. So that increases the overall revenue, making revenue appear higher than it actually is. So what we do is we remove the $221,381 use of fund balance in 26, and we remove the $1 million transfer. Again, this is from 2026. When we remove those two items, the 2026 general fund revenue is only $57,546 higher than the 2025 general fund revenue. This increase in revenue in the 2026 general fund revenue budget is largely attributed to a modest increase in earned income taxes. Next slide, some more budget highlights here for next year. We're going to talk about expenditures. 2026 general fund expenditure budget is $4,489,696. It is $412,663 more than the 2025 general fund expenditure budget of $4,077,033. I want to note here under bullet point 2 that both the 2026 general fund budget includes a $1 million transfer from the general fund to the municipal building fund, and the 2025 general fund budget includes a proposed $1 million transfer from the general fund to the capital fund, and that's to pay for capital expenses. So the adjusted 2026 expenditure budget, where we remove the $1 million transfer, is $3,489,696, and the 2025 expenditure budget, removing the other $1 million transfer, is $3,077,033. We also budgeted a 5% increase for all insurance, professional, and fixed operating costs due to inflation. Next point here, the township continues to focus on rebuilding neglected infrastructure. We are budgeting $407,335 next year for road paving. And that breakdown is liquid fuels. We are budgeting $232,435 towards road paving, and we are budgeting $175,000 from the capital fund. Again, $407,335 for road paving. It's an aggressive road paving plan. Next, we budgeted for the Mortonville Road Bridge, $765,380. And we had budgeted a $1 million transfer next year to the municipal building fund, which we'll talk about later in the presentation. Okay. This slide shows a comparison between the 2025 adopted and the 2026 proposed budget. Looking at the first line right here, the general fund, right there. The proposed 2026 general fund budget shows an increase of $412,663 compared to the 2025 adopted general fund budget. We removed the transfers, the $1 million transfer in 2025, and the $1 million transfer in 2026. So these amounts are adjusted, removing those $1 million transfers. Next, looking at the other significant one here is liquid fuels, which is the third row right there. You can see under liquid fuels that there is a 21.48% decrease in the fund from 2025 to 2026. The reason for that is the township has been drawing down on its liquid fuel funds for several years to pave roads. We've been very aggressive with road paving. However, this year there was also a very large unanticipated expense attributed to road salt. We had a lot of ice last winter. We spent probably, I think it was more than double what we had budgeted because we had not anticipated all that ice. So this decrease reflects essentially that there's less money currently in the liquid fuels fund. And as we move to the capital fund portion of the presentation, you'll see that we budgeted more monies from the capital fund so that we can continue with the township's aggressive road paving program. Next slide. This slide looks at revenue comparisons between the 2025 adopted budget and the 2026 proposed budget. Real estate property taxes, it's the second largest revenue in the general fund. The township budgeted $120,129 in 2026. And there is no increase from the 2025 budget. So again, that is flat, no increase. The township evaluates, this is how we come up with that number. The township evaluates a real estate tax valuation of all properties in the township to help with projecting real estate property tax revenue. The current real estate tax valuation is $427,150,384. Number is right here. The real estate tax valuation has increased by only $38,010 since last year. It's an extremely small amount. You can see that the largest increases in valuation occurred in 2022, which is down here, and 2023, which is over here. Those increases were likely due to the new construction developments that brought more real estate tax revenue to the township. Next, we are still looking at revenue here. This is, first, we're going to talk about the real estate transfer tax. The real estate transfer tax, the first bullet point here, that is the 1% paid to the township and the 1% paid to the school district when a property is sold. We budgeted $152,150 in the 2026 budget for the real estate transfer tax. So that shows a steady homes, shows that there's steady home sales in the township. Very small, a small increase. Next is the local services tax known as the LST. The LST is a $52 a year fee for people that work in East Fallowfield Township. $47 goes to East Fallowfield Township, and $5 of that goes to the Coatesville Area School District. We budgeted that the LST would be $35,000 next year, which is a modest $7,500 increase over the 2025 budget. Next is building permit revenue. Township budgeted $120,000 in 2025. The actual revenue is much higher due to one building permit that we received from the school district. Can't remember what that exact amount was.
It's about 306.
Okay, $306,000. We don't expect anything like that in 2026. We reduced the budget slightly to $110,000, reflecting that we don't see any major projects happening next year. Next, the township's largest revenue is the earned income tax, known as the EIT. The earned income tax is an income tax for residents who are non-residents working or living in the township. As you may know, the township receives 0.5%, and then 0.5% goes to the school district. The township budgeted $1,674,000, a small increase over last year, a small increase of 1.6%, reflecting more economic uncertainty. Those numbers, we meet with, what is it, Keystone, our collector?
Yes.
Keystone, we meet with Keystone every year. They give us their projections, and they're usually pretty close. They're usually spot on. So we trust their opinion. This slide right here, still on EIT right here. Look right here, looking back to 2020, township was expected that EIT was going to drop due to the effects of the pandemic. I like to point out that overall 2020 EIT revenue was actually higher than 2019. We're going back several years here, but I always find this interesting. The only drop in EIT was actually during the second quarter of 2020. Is that right? Second quarter, right there, right there. That's when the governor ordered a shutdown of businesses. So you can see that the EIT dropped slightly during that second quarter. The township's EIT has increased every year since 2020, which reflects growth in wages. The growth in EIT between 2021 and 22 was 8.7%. That was pretty significant. The growth starts to slow down when you compare 2023 EIT to 2022 EIT. There's only 2.9% increase. And then when you go from 2023 to 2024, there was a 4.5% increase, so it went up a little bit. If you look at 2025 EIT, which is over here, EIT collections for 25 are not finished yet, which is why you see a 0 in Q3. So we don't have those numbers yet. So on revenue, this slide shows revenue from interest earnings. If you recall, the township, in 2024, we opened the money market account. We also started a sweep account through Meridian at the beginning of 24 to take advantage of higher interest rates. We're still taking advantage of those interest rates right now. Township budgeted $80,000 in interest earnings for 2025, but actual interest earnings in 25 are projected to be $140,000. So it's been a positive year for interest earnings. Next year, we are projecting a decrease of interest rate earnings to $87,000. That's due to anticipated interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. There's also another reason for that. We're proposing transferring of $1 million out of the general fund into into the building reserve, into the municipal building fund. So that essentially means that there will be less money earning interest in the general fund. It would just be earning more interest in the in that municipal building fund. General fund administration expenses. General fund, we're moving on to expenses here. If you're looking at the budget, the line item starts at 400 in the budget. This part of the budget includes salaries for administrative staff, including the treasurer, health benefits, and items like postage and our copier that we need to run the township. So the 2026 general fund administration budget is $1,074,305. That is a 30% increase over the 2025 administration budget of $824,938. And there's several reasons for this. As I mentioned before, there's a substantial increase in the legal services line item, which is, if you're looking at the budget, it's 404.310. We budgeted in 2026, we budgeted $272,000 for legal expenses. That's versus $120,000 that we budgeted in 2025. $175,000 of that is attributed to right to know requests from one resident. As I mentioned, the township is experiencing extremely high volume of requests. It involves thousands of email records, resulting in extensive legal fees for review and redaction. And if these requests continue at the same pace, it could cost us $175,000 next year. I want to point out that pursuant to Pennsylvania law, the township cannot charge requesters for legal review time. We're not allowed to do it. These costs must be absorbed by the general fund. We're not against right to know requests. Township supports transparency and public access to records, but we want to point out that extensive requests can have significant financial impacts to township finances, which must be accurately reflected in the budget. We have also budgeted an additional $25,000 in legal fees attributed to the Fieldstone bond issue. We anticipate our legal expenses will continue next year as our lawyers, as our solicitor does work related to Fieldstone. And we budgeted $72,000 in legal fees attributed to general legal issues as well. Still on general fund administration expenses, I will be recommending the hiring of a full-time township secretary in 2026. A few reasons for that. Budgeted salary is $70,000 plus we're assuming health insurance for a family at $49,642. Yeah, it's a lot of money for health insurance for a family. That would be $119,000. That would help the township office with a heavy flow of right to know requests. The number of requests has doubled since last year. The additional staff person would enable our staff here to better support or better focus on other projects we have some communication projects that I'd like to get up and running next year, including a new township website. So I'd like to see our staff, our current staff here, being able to better focus on those items, and we need more support to accomplish that. We are also budgeting contracted IT services. There will be an increase. We are budgeting an 85% increase next year, from $14,000 this year to $26,000 next year. The purpose of that will be to assist with right to know retrieval. We budgeted for an 18, as I said before, we budgeted an 18% increase in health insurance. This is due to significant increase in claims. Our 2025 performance ratio as of June 30, 2025 is 231.5%, which is well over the expected 100%. So that equals $35,000 increase, which would be seen throughout the budget. What performance ratio essentially means is that we are using more of our healthcare than our healthcare company projected. And interestingly, the township is in the process of switching from United Healthcare to Highmark. If we were not, that change will become effective on January 1st. If we did not make that change, the increase would be even higher. So we're actually saving money going to Highmark. The plan is identical, it's 100% identical, but there's a big increase. It would be even more if we stayed with United Healthcare. Salary includes budgeted salary increases of 3% for non-union administrative staff. Moving on to police. $2026 operating police budget, $1,731,692. It represents 50% of the general fund budget. 2025 police budget is projected to increase 6% compared to, the 2026 police budget. It's a typo right there. 2026 police budget is projected to increase 6% compared to the 25 budget. Proposed budget includes the current staffing level, 7 full-time officers, 6 full-time officers, 7 part-time officers, plus 1 full-time chief of police, showing the current staffing levels. Salaries, which is the largest increase in the police budget, is budgeted to increase 4%. And that is per the collective bargaining agreement, the current CBA that is in place. We also have 2 police who opt out of the health insurance plan. And that is a total of $23,033. We actually pay the officers for opting out of the plan. So that $23,033 represents the payments to the 2 officers. Training budget, which is $410.460. Training budget is $17,000. It includes a $10,000 tuition payment. The collective bargaining agreement provides reimbursement for college education, and this expense is reflected in the township budget. Next, on public works. 2026 public works budget is $541,455. Public works represents 16% of the general fund budget. The proposed budget includes 3 full-time laborers, 1 full-time road foreman, and 1 permanent part-time laborer. So represents the current staffing levels. I want to point out that the current collective bargaining agreement expires the end of this year, and 2026 salaries reflect 3% increase. Fire EMS budget. No increase. No increase in the fire EMS millage. Millage will stay at the current level. The last increase that we had was in 2024. It was a 0.75%, or I'm sorry, a 0.75 mil increase. Recall back in 24, it funded paid firefighters both at Westwood and Modena Fire Company, as well as township-wide advanced life support services. It was the only mill increase that we had since 2018. 2026 fire EMS total budget, it shows a small increase from $804,372 to $825,163. The reason for that is higher interest on checking. And here's an overview of what is funded through fire EMS. Again, everything is restricted for fire and EMS operations. Township provides $150,000 to each fire company each year, providing fire protection at each battlefield, and this is for general fire operational purposes. We provide a $66,400 subsidy to Modena Fire Company for EMS and $115,808 to Westwood Fire Company. That is for EMS and for advanced life support, otherwise known as ALS. We also provide a subsidy to Volunteer Association funded by the state, and that's a pass-through known as foreign fire insurance tax. We budgeted $57,650. That is money that comes into the township, and then we redistribute it to the fire departments. Township also continues to set aside funds in that fire EMS account to each fire company, and that's for capital purchases. We provide a total of $73,200 a year for both of the fire companies. Next is the Liquid Fuels Fund. A little overview here on liquid fuels. Liquid Fuels Fund includes money from the state, and it's used for maintenance, snow plowing, and reconstruction of township roads. 2026 proposed liquid fuels revenue budget is $359,840, and expenditures are $359,840. This reflects a balanced budget. We are not proposing to use any reserves to balance the budget. 2026 liquid fuels revenues are flat. There's no major changes. I want to point out that road resurfacing is a high priority for the township. Prior to 2018, the township was only spending $125,000 a year. If you move to 2018, you're at $166,000. It wasn't enough to adequately maintain township roads. You can see from the graph here, the township has been making a much more substantial investment in recent years. And we budgeted a total of $407,335 for road paving next year. Next slide, onto the trash funds. The administration is recommending no increase in trash fee, no increase in the trash fee. It's currently $450. We are proposing keeping it at $450 next year. You might recall the township, onto the second bullet point right here, the township awarded a 3-year hauling contract to AJ Blazensky. 2026 will be the third year of the 3-year contract. There's also 2 option years as well. I'm surprised that we're on year 3. It's going fast. It's going really fast. Hauling expenses. They increase from, this is a contract with AJ Blazensky. We're on the third bullet point. The hauling expense increases from $778,256.25 to $832,528 next year. It's a 7% increase. The trash fund is showing a balanced budget. And tipping fees, which are our disposal costs, the township pays the tipping fees. The Chester County Solid Waste Authority are projected to cost $256,854 next year. What was the increase we budgeted, Dave? Was it 4 or 5% increase next year? Chester County Solid Waste Authority, they increase their tipping fees every year. So it's based on the increase. Trash fund reserves are healthy. However, projections, talk a little bit more about, show this on the next slide. Projections for 27 and 28 reflect that reserves are being used to balance the budget. And finally, the last bullet point right here, the township is having, as I mentioned before, the township is having its first ever bulk trash drop-off event this Saturday. I will be there. I am recommending that we include in the budget for next year 3 additional bulk trash events. These are shown on line item 427.319. So if all goes well this Saturday, the thought is that we would continue this next year as well with 3 different events. This slide just shows the 3-year projection for the trash fee. Again, you see no use of reserves. Next year, use of reserves, we're not using reserves next year. You can see that we begin to use reserves in 2027. We projected in 2027, we would use $62,245, and that amount increases in 2028 to balance the budget. To Park and Rec. Want to point out with Park and Rec that the township does not have a steady source of revenue in the Park and Recreation Fund. There's no dedicated township recreation tax. The township has not transferred monies from the general fund to support Park and Recreation. The township has not been collecting fees for special events. The only guaranteed revenue source that we have for Park and Recreation is the $1,500 fees paid for by new construction. And the last time that we actually received the fee in lieu of payment for $1,500 was back in 2022. So we budgeted, if you look on the budget for Park and Rec, we budgeted 0 for the fee in lieu of, as there's no major housing development proposed. I want to point out, we currently have $236,177 in the Park and Recreation Fund. The fund is extremely well managed. We rely almost exclusively on revenues from sponsors and grant funding as a source of revenue. If you go back to 2018, when I started here, I think we had actually the same amount. So it just shows you how well managed. We've done a boatload of projects here. We built a bathroom at the township park. We had an open space plan that was done. Tags Garden. What am I missing here? The gazebo. We've done a lot of projects here. The Park and Rec Board has been fabulous. They understand, we only have so much money, but they have been terrific in so many different ways. So of course, we want to thank our fabulous Park and Rec Board for all of their work. But again, we rely almost exclusively on revenues from sponsors and grant funding as a source of revenue. We budgeted $50,000 for a pond maintenance project. Now, we still have a lot of work to do on that. I consider that more of a placeholder for the budget at this point. I know that there's a need to do work on the pond. I've spoken to our Pond Watch volunteers, and they've expressed to me that there's issues with, I think they call it dissolved oxygen in the water. It's a problem. So my recommendation is to include some monies in the budget for the pond. My understanding is that it's a dying pond, and I know a lot of residents do use the pond for fishing. It is a community asset. It's mentioned in the Park and Rec plan. So my recommendation is to budget. There's still evaluation and investigative work that needs to be done on that. We also budgeted $12,000 for the wildly successful summer concert series in the park. It gets better every year. That event is fully funded by sponsors that pay for that event. And we're also budgeting $1,250 for trees and landscaping for shade tree replacement. Onto the capital fund, moving along here, folks. I think there's only 10 more slides, so almost at the finish line. Not even. Next on to the capital fund. We are proposing, actually, this isn't the budget for 2025. I wanted to mention that for this year, we had put in the budget that we would move $1 million from the general fund to the capital fund to pay for proposed capital improvements. We expect to do this. I've spoken to Dave about this. We expect to do this in December. I will come to the board in December and I will ask the board to make the transfer by resolution. That is in the current budget. Oop. We have a lot of good stuff planned for next year. Here's the breakdown of the capital projects that we plan for next year. Update to the township's comprehensive plan. What was our comp plan, Mike? Trying to remember, it's 2006.
Adopted 2015.
2015. 2015, okay, more than 10 years old. There's a letter from the planning commission in the board's packet. They're recommending that we update the comprehensive plan. We have $335,000 budgeted for the Sawmill Road replacement project. Bridge reconstruction, we budgeted $765,380. Sawmill Road paving, $100,000, plus general road paving, $75,000. We've also budgeted for Mortonville Road draining enhancements. You recall that our contractor was back this year to make the repairs, although we recognize that we need to do more drainage work on that road. So we budgeted $50,000 for drainage enhancements. Okay, some more capital projects here. I want to point out, if you have the budget in front of you open to the capital fund, if you look under revenues, there is a bunch of grant funding on there. I'm not going to go through it all. I don't have the capital fund open in front of me. If you have the capital fund budget open, you'll see that a lot of these projects have grant funding coming back. It's marked reimbursement grant all throughout the revenue budget. So I just wanted to point that out. The township aggressively pursues grant funding to pay for these capital projects. We do move money from the general fund. We can't get grants for everything. We do move money from the general fund into the capital fund. But we aggressively pursue grant funding so that there's less of an impact to the taxpayer. We have here update township website. I know we've had that for a couple of years. Our township right now is working on updating the building software. If you recall, last year, the board approved that in December, updating our building permit software. So we expect to have that done this year. We have office computers budgeted at $4,000. For the police department, we have a new police vehicle budgeted at $67,750. Chief Osborne, I believe that would replace the 17 Tahoe or the 18 Tahoe? 17. 17, all right. Other items under police department, body worn camera replacement. My understanding is those body worn cameras are old, need a replacement. Mobile fingerprint ID, $1,000. We have AED devices here for $3,000. Breaching tools, $2,800. And new flashlights. I talked to Chief Osborne about this. Apparently our flashlights are quite old and in need of replacement. These flashlights are more than the $10 one that I buy at Walmart, but I think there's a need for reliable. I'm guessing these are very high quality compared to the.
That's correct.
Okay. Under Public Works, you might recall that the township this year purchased a Peterbilt dump truck. The dump truck was already purchased, and we budgeted the upfitting of that truck for next year's budget. So we have the truck already. We need to upfit it, which means putting the body on there, the lights, those type of things. $100,000 for the upfitting. It's expensive. Ford F-250 pickup truck. We budgeted $68,000 for replacement of the F-250 pickup truck. That would replace a 2006 Ford F-250. Building generator, we had that on the budget for this year. We have that, we moved it to the budget for next year. We will probably have to buy this through Pennsylvania CoStars. We're looking right now for a vendor. It's been a little bit of a challenge, but we budgeted the purpose of the generator. Power goes out and cannot power up the gas pumps. So the generator would make sure Police car comes to the township building, powers off, they can't fuel up their car. So the generator would it would ensure that the gas pumps work. We also budgeted a grabber attachment for the skid steer. This would help to do things like clear the storm drains. We budgeted $5,000, and we budgeted a roof over our gas pumps for $4,000 for next year. Okay. Close to the finish line here, folks. On to the municipal building fund. We are proposing a transfer next year of $1 million from the general fund to a dedicated municipal building fund. This would be to prepare for future township facility needs. The purpose of the transfer, again, this would happen next year, the purpose of the transfer is to begin setting aside dedicated funding for future planning, design, and construction costs associated with the new municipal building. The benefit would be to reduce future borrowing needs and interest costs. Okay, this slide shows the real estate tax millage history since 2016. You can see from the slide, 2016 is right. 2016 is right at the top, right here. 2016 was the first time the township had a township real estate property tax. At that time, the township set the general purpose millage rate at 1.25 mils. Right there. In the 2018 budget, I was not here then, but the prior administration had increased the general fund township millage to 2.0 and also introduced a fire EMS tax of 1 mil to fund fire and ambulance service. So in 2018, the township's millage was set at 3 mils. You can see from the chart that the township has not increased the general fund tax since 2018. So 8 years was the last time we increased the tax in the general fund. Fire EMS millage, which is the second column right here, set at 1 mils in 2018, 0.56 mils for fire and 0.44 mils for ambulance. However, in 2024, I mentioned this before, there was a small 0.75, you can see that down here, 0.75 mil increase in the fire EMS fund. So that raised, you can see in 2024, that raised the fire EMS tax from 1 mil to 1.75 mils. Current breakdown is 1.2 mils for fire, 0.5 for EMS, 0.44 for ambulance, and 0.06 for ambulance. Again, it's 1.75 mils for fire EMS. And again, there's no tax increase to propose in the general fund or the fire EMS fund for 2026. Moving along here, only a few more slides, everybody. This slide shows what the average township resident pays for their township real estate tax as well as their trash fee. This is always a surprise to residents. I like to show this to everyone when people complain about how high their property taxes are. I think sometimes people are confusing us with the school district. The average homeowner, you mentioned this before, the average homeowner with a residential assessed value of $132,084 pays approximately $495.52 for their township real estate taxes. $450 for trash, which amounts to see the bottom right here, $945.52. I want to keep in mind, $132,138. It's not the market price of your home. It's the average assessed valuation of your home. Some homeowners pay less than that amount, and some will pay more. It just depends on your specific real estate tax assessment. Keep in mind all the township services that you receive for that money: trash recycling collection, yard waste collection, 24/7 police protection, fire, ambulance, and advanced life support services, road paving, access to a beautiful township park, and recreation. And I know I'm forgetting some things here. $945.52 does not seem like a lot of money for all the services that township provides. Next slide, township reserves. This slide provides an overview of the township's reserve balance. Small right here. Just want to show the end of this year right here. Okay, so at the end of this year, after we move the $1 million into the capital fund, township will have $2,940,742, which is it's not working. That number right there, after we move the $1 million to the capital fund. In 2026, if the board decides to move the $1 million to the municipal building fund, our fund balance will be $1.7 million in general fund reserves, which is roughly 49% of expenses or 6 months of reserve capacity. I want to point out, if you go online, the Government Finance Officers Association, otherwise known as GFOA, recommends a minimum of 2 months of operating expenditures to be used as reserves. That is the absolute bare minimum. I don't know any municipalities that are well managed that would only have 2 months in the bank. We should have at least 6 months right there. And that's what we are proposing. On to the next slide. This is 2025 projections. We're talking about this year now. We talked before about unexpected expenses. The biggest one, which could be a budget buster expense this year, the legal fees attributed to the right to know requests. We are, based on the projections that we showed earlier, we could potentially hit $100,000 this year in legal fees. Despite those substantial costs associated with the right to know request, the township is still hopeful to end 2025 with a surplus in the general fund. And that is before transferring the $1 million to the capital fund. I want to talk about 2025 revenue. 2025 revenue is projected to be $3,755,197. Compared to the 2025 budgeted revenue of $3,209,768. We exceeded budget estimates for the revenue. And we are attributing that mostly to building permits from the Coatesville Area School District. That was a one-time revenue. We won't see that one again.
Outstanding job.
Thanks, Kat. That's all, folks. Thanks for coming out, everyone. We will be posting this presentation probably tomorrow. The township website and the draft budget is already on there as well. So appreciate everyone coming out for the
Question?
We're gonna hold the questions till the public comment period. Then we can ask questions about it. I just want to finish up with the addendum. Yeah, anything else?
that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Is there any old business?
Hold on, Claire, can I ask you something? Do we have to address the comprehensive note here and that? No.
No. Is there any new business? I would like to open it up for public participation. Just a reminder, if you're going to comment, please come up to the podium and state your name. It's an opportunity to comment and ask questions. So, yeah, come on up.
What is the backstory that's causing the excessive increase in the right to know requests from residents? Maybe I have missed the backstory by not being here in the prior meeting, but what's up with that? I mean, that shouldn't be confidential, it's right to know.
You can do a right to know for the right to knows we have. It is public, and the right to knows are public information. I mean, in terms of backstory, there's an excessive amount of requests for thousands and thousands of email records. So
It's unusual, I should say. So what's causing that?
we don't typically see that request.
Right, so what's causing that? Gotta be something
You'd have to talk-
behind this.
You have to talk to the requester. I mean, our job is to follow state law and to, provide the information as we're required to do.
What was the request?
Right here. I'll be happy to talk to you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have one other question then. What is the status of the dedication of Fieldstone Village? I mean, I'm living there 5.5 years. It's still not paid. Still not dedicated. You still have to pray that the streets get shoveled or plowed when it snows. Have to ride over sewer covers daily, several times daily. The street is ridiculous.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Fieldstone Village,
Fieldstone, yes.
I've been living there 5.5 years. Streets have still not been built. But in escrow, I don't know, somewhere in space.
Our solicitor's not here tonight. I know he's working on it and he talked about it at the last meeting.
Saying that for 2 years.
I'd rather him answer because it's our solicitor that is working on this right now.
Still-
Mr. Crowd.
Mr. Mike
Yes,
Ready.
he wasn't even here.
He's not here tonight.
So anything of the legal matter, we're just gonna wait for him to be here. That's,
Okay, that's the same thing that happened the last time. He wasn't here. He's never here.
What was the meeting? It was last month.
it was.
Yeah, he was here. He was here. He gave an update on that.
Last month, and in our minutes, the attorney for your HOA was here, and Mike was here, and they gave an update on the steps moving forward. I don't want to be a lawyer, but I know they were, so there was a coordination effort, there's a continuing coordination effort between the township solicitors and the HOA solicitor to try to resolve your valid concerns.
And what's that? What's the answer then?
It's in the.
The HOA, when I contact the HOA, first of all, HOA president is up and moved. So we don't even have a president anymore. The other person that's in the HOA says she doesn't know what's going on. She hasn't heard anything from the township. Nobody knows anything. This one blames on this one blames on that one, nobody knows what's going on. Meanwhile, again, in 5 years, over 5 years. It's still on a dedication,
What is your name?
Roman Elwin.
Robin Miller. So I think when, maybe Scott, if you could talk to Mike.
Yeah, I can ask him to provide another update at the next meeting
Please, yes,
as well.
We've been asking for updates from Mike for I don't know how long.
Yeah, Robin, if you watch the minutes from, was it the last meeting or the one?
It was 2 meetings.
2 meetings ago, he
yes.
did provide an update and the lawyer was here from the HOA as well. So it would have been the August meeting.
But Robin, the challenge here is it's a legal matter. So our lawyer has to talk to the HOA's lawyer. And then it's on that lawyer and the HOA board to disseminate the information to the HOA members. I understand everyone comes here every couple of months asking for us to give an update. And I think the challenge is Mike has been supplementing the HOA's lawyers' efforts and we've been calling the bond to assist. And that's what we can do. And I understand you feel like there's a lack of communication, but that's the answer.
Well, I come here occasionally because I get nothing from the HOA.
I've heard that before and I understand that, but we can't control that.
Isn't there something that can go out? You know, some kind of message that can go out to the residents? I mean, we don't hear anything from the HOA, so we don't
We
hear
can-
anything from
The
anybody.
challenge is, like I say, it's a legal matter, so we have to run it to the solicitor.
Can he at least give an update on what's going on? to the
That's what I was
residents?
saying. We gave an update 2 months ago. He'll be here in 2 weeks, Chris, Scott.
We can ask him to give another update.
If you come back in 2 weeks, which you may or may not want to do, Mr. Crotty will be here and can provide an update then.
Thank you.
And Robin, our meetings are also, the recordings are online. So if you want to watch a meeting from
Okay.
2 months ago.
Hello, East Battlefield Town. I've been working on this for the last month. I have copies of my statement to dish to the board. And a few extra copies if any of the residents like that. Good evening, members of the board. I stand before you today to insist on the immediate resignations of Supervisors Wilson Lambert and Kat Dorado for conduct unbecoming members of the Board of Supervisors, violations of their oath of office, violations of Pennsylvania state ethics laws, and violations of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. On September 23rd, 2025, Supervisor Lambert violated Title 65, Section 1101, the Pennsylvania Ethics Act, misuse of official authority, and the First Amendment, when he misused his official position by recommending that the panel deem Shane Floyd ineligible for appointment to the building committee on the grounds that his lawful right to know request will need, quote, to increase the budget by thousands of dollars, end quote. Punishing or attempting to punish a citizen for exercising their legal right to request public records constitutes retaliation and creates a well-established chilling effect on public participation. The government transparency. Such conduct undermines public trust and directly contradicts the fundamental principles of open government. Additionally, on September 23rd, 2025, Supervisor Dorado violated Title 18, Section 5301, official oppression, and the First Amendment when she engaged in emotional intimidation directed at Shane Floyd, accusing him of, quote, insulting to the board and you need to take a look at yourself, and, quote, insulting the taxpayer in an apparent attempt to deter him from exercising his right to know. This conduct has a significant chilling effect on the willingness of citizens to participate in government and exercise their constitutionally protected rights without fear or retaliation, harassment, or intimidation. For these reasons, I insist the immediate and unconditional resignations of both Supervisor Lambert and Supervisor Dorado. Should either of these supervisors refuse to resign, or should this board fail to take corrective action, I will have no choice to formally submit an ethics complaint to the Pennsylvania State Ethics Commission and file a civil rights complaint with the Pennsylvania chapter of the ACLU. These supervisors have forgotten that they are in a position of privilege and service, not a position of power. The residents of East Valleyfield Township deserve better than this.
Thanks.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Oh,
We need for those.
hey.
And you need those.
All right, is there any other public comment?
Oh, yeah. Let me get my breath before you start. I'm sorry, Shane. Oh, yeah, no, you're good. Okay. So it looks like there's roughly $250,000 in the budget next year to handle email rights and no requests. Since the 13 requests that I put in, which should be done this month, how many more requests have you received for emails? Scott, it's questioning you because you're the right to know officer. And please be quick because I got a lot of things to discuss. How many have you received?
Should I answer questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many have you received since those that you'll be done with this month?
I only know your total for the year, which is 30.
So
Right, no
have you
requests this year.
received none since then? That's the end, right?
I don't know offhand. You submitted 30 this year. I don't know that, I don't know
No,
the
no, I'm
total
talking
number.
about just the emails, because you said there was 1 and then 12, so that's 13. Have you received any more requests for email right to knows since those 13?
I think that was it.
That was it, okay.
For
So
emails.
you're basing $250,000 of budget in next year's budget on not having received any more right to know requests for emails. That's just lunacy. That's crazy. So anyway, I appreciate you all doing the homework. The fact that that's in the budget, I really hope that's you that put that in there. I think that's just one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Once I found out how much these were gonna cost, I stopped doing them because it's not prudent. And you haven't seen any more. So the fact that you put them in the budget
after not having seen any others. To try and say there's gonna be another 250, you're gonna have to hire an admin for $70,000 next year for right to know requests for emails. That's just ridiculous. I mean, I knew you weren't good at your job, but this is
right.
ridiculous. Okay, so
We talked about.
next is,
Personal attacks.
is trash fee considered a tax? We call it a fee, but is it a tax? Because everybody has to pay. I mean, do we just call it a fee? Because
The trash fee is.
it's
The
a
trash
tax,
fee is
yeah.
a fee,
It's just a fee, not a tax,
trash fee.
because it doesn't come under millage. I mean, everybody has to pay it. But it's a tax or it's a fee?
That's a fee.
It's a fee. All right, I'll figure out what the difference is there. Let's see, what else do I have? You also have $12,000 for IT services, which is again crazy, based on not having received any more emails, and those will be done this month. So if this is what you use to budget and this is the way you budget, I mean, you guys are in charge of this. So you're responsible for that extra $250,000 when there have been no additional email requests. So he's basing $250,000 in next year's budget on a finite amount of requests. I mean, this should be fixed at the very least. Do I need to sign something saying I'm not doing more email requests, and then you take out the $250,000? I don't know if he just wants another admin on staff, and he's using it as an excuse, but this is just grossly disingenuous. It's foul, absolutely. So I had a lot of, I'll save my stuff next time for you.
Well, real quick, Shane,
yeah.
to be fair, I'll take my time.
That's fine.
Your night right to know requests, to my understanding, were from last summer till the end of this summer, correct? Roughly.
Yes.
So I would contend we've run out of data unless you go further back, which I don't believe you would intend to do. So it's not unrealistic to assume that they would continue month to month moving forward.
But it's been over a month since my last report.
I understand, I don't disagree,
Right.
but I'm saying when he produced this budget,
Mhm.
it's not an unheard of assumption.
Right.
I understand the data to now, you may stop. It may continue, it's an unknown. So just to counterpoint it.
Okay.
That's
No,
all.
I get it. You can assume, right? You can assume that you could assume that's not enough and maybe it needs to be $500,000, right? You could make a lot of assumptions.
I'm just trying, the schedule, it's a first draft.
Right. No, I get it. So that's why I wanted to.
Take it in the final creations, I don't disagree, and I think it was a reasonable assumption. I was, understand you disagree.
I am the requester and I do disagree. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Question,
Yes, sir.
can you start on me now? Why wait?
Oh,
No, right.
if I have time, absolutely.
No,
No, I
You're done.
I use
You're
my 3
done.
minutes.
Thank
But
you.
what, next up, absolutely.
Thank you.
I want to go on the record if I may.
Last time you did that, you violated the first amendment. Go
All right.
ahead.
We're not going to do this.
I'm happy to stay here. You go for it.
No, I said, can I'm addressing the board. So,
Yes. Yes.
I'd like to go on the record that the manager update and create clear policies for handling the right to know requests. That we also track requests for conduct. Keep a record of requesters' history and a pattern of requests. And if it's part of a vexatious pattern, that we use this justification to deny requests. In line.
Which you're not familiar with.
So Wilson, we do track requests.
Please.
In terms of denying them, we'd have to speak to the solicitor, but we do track requests. They're public record as well.
All right, is there any other further public comment? Make a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry, I didn't pick my.
Well, I just had a question on the budget. Oh, okay. Like the $1 million, I'm Jerry Dixon. The $1 million goes to the building fund, which municipal building fund, which I think is a great thing, because again, if you're buying a house, you want to start saving for it. and we want to do everything we can, so reduce tax burden. But what would that go into? Would that just go into another interest bearing account and the interest in that keep growing? On
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
Similar to the
And
capital.
what is- And I am curious, how much did we get from the Coatesville School District on the permits?
I don't have the exact number in front of me. It was about 300,000.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you, Gary. All right, Deb Scott, come on up.
Versus fee. Deborah.
Okay.
The tax receipt, I'm gonna say something, and if you can just correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure of that. Taxing percentage based on assessed value versus fee, flat fee, everybody gets the same fee, is that correct? Like, the fee is flat number despite
The value.
the
of
assessed
that.
value
Right.
versus tax.
Independent of that.
Percentage of that, basically. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
All right, is there any other public comment? Make a motion to adjourn,
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for attending.
8:15 PM.